hit a solo shot again, his second home run of the game, 14th of the year, third as a Cub, to make it 6-5. Jonathan Lucroy in his first game as a Chicago Cub, he was signed, I believe, was it the morning of or the day before? One of those. It was either the day of or the day before he was signed by the Cubs after clearing waivers. Obviously, he was let go by the Angels. He came in right away and contributed 3 hits, including this RBI double in the 5th to make it a 7-5 game. And then, once again, our guy, Ian Happ, 2-run homer in the 7th, his 3rd of the year. Absolutely on fire. I think we'll get into the stats the last 7 days, but it's over a 1,300 OPS, 1.300 OPS. Just incredible. 4 homers this week for Ian Happ. Chris Bryant had a 2-run single, and then Lucroy another run-scoring hit, a single in the 8th to make it 12-5. As for the Cubs bullpen, also I wanted to mention, and I forgot to, just thinking and talking about here about the bullpen, Dwayne Underwood in the game that John Lester blew up in Game 2 against the Oakland A's, Dwayne Underwood Jr., who made, I think he was one of our first, probably like our second or third interviewee on this podcast, the Ivy podcast, earlier in the year. This was probably, January or early February, something like that. We had Dwayne Underwood Jr. on. This was back when Max at Wrigley News on Instagram was on the podcast with me, and that dude was so cool. And getting to talk to him about his debut in LA at Dodger Stadium and getting called up and just, going through how it felt for him. I mean, I felt for him, and in his game against the Athletics, 6 strikeouts across 2 innings. He struck out the side. That ties the franchise record for the most strikeouts by a reliever consecutively. And a little surprised Joe didn't let him go out there for the 3rd to try to get the record. But, it was a blowout game. But fast forward now, we'll go back to Game 1 against the Reds. The bullpen was really good in this one. Tyler Chatwood actually got the win, improved to 5-1 on the year, and lowered his ERA under 4 with 6 strikeouts across 3 innings, only 1 hit and 1 walk given up, no runs as well. Dwayne Underwood came in this one with 2 outs, and then Kyle Ryan finished the last 7 outs, only giving up 1 hit, no walks, no runs, and a strikeout. So the bullpen was really good in this one for the Cubs. And on the other side, Cincinnati, David Hernandez gave up 5 earned runs, 6 total hits across only got 5 outs, a season ERA of 8.02, and I saw that the next day they designated him for assignment, which is kind of funny. But anyways, let's move on to a couple days ago. That was on Friday night. The Cubs lost Game 2 by a score of 5-2. We trailed in this one. No, actually, we led at the very beginning. Once again, our guy, Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos and Ian Happ, the 2 best and hottest hitters on this Cubs roster right now. No one can prove me wrong with that. Nick Castellanos is by far the best hitter on this team right now. He will continue to be the best hitter on this team, I guarantee it. Just from what I've watched and known about Nick Castellanos and what he's done in Detroit, it's not by random chance this dude leads the league in doubles, and he's a lefty killer and was a prized possession at the deadline. I mean, he is the best hitter on the Chicago Cubs. If he does not get re-signed, I will lose it, because there is nothing to back up. If he continues to play, I get that he's not going to continue at this rate, but this dude has had multi-hit games with the Cubs. I mean, it's incredible, and he's hitting the long ball. He's hitting, he's a walking double, literally. I think I got to sneeze here. One sec. All right, sorry about that. I don't have a mute or anything on this. So sorry about that. But anyways, for him, if he does not get re-signed, by the Cubs, I will lose a lot of respect for Theo in the front office. And speaking of resignings, Joe Madden was asked about it today. A story came out today on MLB.com and on the Cubs page. I guess I just open up my app and it shows the Cubs news. Joe Madden is very optimistic he's getting re-signed. And to be honest with you, I kind of thought that all along. A lot of people, I've never been the one to say that Joe should totally go. I blamed Joe in the past, but from an overall standpoint, I've never said that Joe Madden, I've questioned it, but I would say that I've stood by Joe and that he's built up a rapport with this group of guys, and the Cubs have given him all the talent to win, but I think that when it comes down to it, he can't pitch the ball for the players and he can't swing the bat. And the Cubs as a team, talent-wise, and you have to blame the players for this as well, is they've underperformed this year in the last couple of years, but how much can you credit to Joe Madden? And then when you look at it, Joe Madden is one of the better managers in baseball. He's been regarded as, a top manager in the league, at least, in his career. And yeah, it may be time for a new face or whatever, but overall, what's the replacement? And with that replacement, can they come in and, do what Joe has done in building up that relationship with the players? And that's what Joe highlighted in the article in his interview, saying that it's more than the wins and losses. It's what I built up with this team, and I think you have to believe that to a point, and I think that a lot of it will depend on this last month and a half, because if the Cubs do not win this division, then I think the argument changes a little bit, because there have been struggles by Joe Madden, bad moves by Joe Madden made. And if that's the reason why we lose, 10 of our last 15 or some crazy thing like that, and we don't even make the playoffs, if it's continued missed opportunities by the manager or reads and bringing guys in from the bullpens, double switches, whatever the situation is, then I think the argument shifts a little bit. All right, enough of that tangent. I don't really even know where we got started with that. Oh, Nick Castellanos resigning. But anyways, this was the game. Or no, this was not the game. I saw Aquino homered in the second. But no, this was Aristides Aquino's second game with a home run. That was a second inning homer, and the Reds really didn't look back after that. Gave him a 2-1 lead after two. Eugenio Suarez killed a ball off of Yu Darvish, who struggled with the long ball in this one. He gave up 3 homers. He did have 9 strikeouts and no walks, but when you can't keep the ball in the yard, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, but those 3 homers really didn't help the Cubs at all. And Eugenio Suarez's fourth inning, solo homer gave them a 3-1 lead, or padded their lead to 3-1. Joey Votto has gotten a little bit hotter as of late the last few weeks. He hit a solo homer in the 6th to make it 4-1. And then in the 8th, the Cubs had an opportunity. They actually had multiple opportunities in this game to win, but they had the bases loaded with no outs. Anthony Rizzo was hit by a pitch. Jason Hayward scored. And then after that, I want to make sure I get it right here. But, okay, after that, Javi got into a force out. Casti was out at home. Happ striked out in probably his worst at-bat of the series. And then Kyle Schwarber got on to first. So we had bases loaded, no outs after scoring a run, the go-ahead run at the plate, and the game-tying run in Anthony Rizzo at first base. But we just couldn't get anything going. And I want to say that in this game, we just give me a second here. I want to say we had a few other chances. Oh, yeah, we had runners on first and third with no outs, and that was in the 4th. We didn't score. And then we had first and second with 1 out in the 6th. and we didn't score. So that didn't help Darvish. I mean, he did have 6 innings. He gave the Cubs kind of a chance to win. I get that the home runs hurt him, but we had our chances offensively. We left 9 men on base, went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And then, all of a sudden it was a 1-1 series. And then yesterday's bloodbath came from the Cincinnati Reds. And this was the game Aristides Aquino hit 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats. In his 10th career game, he had 7 home runs as the Reds killed us by a score of 10-1 in Game 3. They had 18 hits. Kyle Hendricks really struggled in this one. 2 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 7 earned, no walks, and 2 strikeouts as he dipped below 500 at an 8-9 record. And also Dylan Maples and Alec Mills, since being recalled because of Cishek going on the IL, along with guys like Kinsler and Kimbrel and Kyle Ryan to the bereavement list. Dylan Maples and Alec Mills got their second chance, or another look. I shouldn't say second, but another look. Their first appearances, though, were pretty meh. Maples gave up a couple homers across 4 outs completed, and 2 earned runs there. And then Alec Mills, 4 innings, which was good that he 8 innings, but 3 walks along with 4 hits, a lot of traffic on base. Did give up a run. He did have 3 strikeouts, but he gave up a homer. So the Cubs lost this one 10-1. We had 7 hits. However, we only had 4, I believe, going into the 9th, where we scored our only run on a Kyle Schwarber solo homer, his 27th of the year. But yeah, through 4 innings, it was 9-0 after Aquino's 7th homer on the season, his 3rd of the game. And then, like I said, we intentionally walked him, and I think we got him later in the game. But anyways, let's just move on. I don't want to talk about this game. 10-1 score. However, the Cubs got a little lucky today, but they showed a lot of fight as well. It was pretty bland game through 5 innings. We were down 3-0, and as for the pitching, Luis Castillo was really good through I'd say about 6. He did give up an RBI double to Javier Baez, the first run for the Cubs in the 6th inning, but he went 6 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, got the no decision. John Lester on the other side, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Not the worst outing, but also not, amazing or anything. He got let off the hook after the Cubs offense picked him up later on. David Phelps with a scoreless inning. He earned his first win on the season, first win as a Cub. Rowan Wick got his second hold with a really impressive 7th and 8th inning shutout innings, only gave up 1 hit and struck out 4, a 1.72 miraculous season ERA so far for him. And then Pedro Strop, 10th save of the year. He did give up 1 walk, but a pretty clean 9th for the Cubs. And how we got there, like I said, it was 3-0 through 5. Javi's RBI double in the 6th made it 3-1. And then Tony Kemp grounded out to Joey Votto to score Ian Happ to make it a 3-2 game in the 7th. After Nick Castellanos got walked, I believe, or maybe he singled with 2 outs and a runner on, they made Michael Lorenzen pay. Chris Bryant made him pay with his 23rd of the year, 23rd bomb of the year. Chris Bryant, 3-run, go-ahead, game-winning homer. And then Ian Happ, much like Caratini in that one game, threw a cherry on top with a little insurance, his 4th homer of the year to left field to make it a 6-3 game. And it really did feel like the Cubs got, lucky. I mean, I'm happy with that split, considering what Aquino did. And that the Reds, besides today, their offense really did hit our pitching pretty well. Even if you look back at Thursday's win, they had 5 runs off 11 hits. Their pitching just was god-awful. But anyways, like I said, I'll take that series split with the way the Reds have played us this year. It's a little unfortunate, winning game 1, you think if you could have won either of game 2 or 3 and maybe one today, all of a sudden you win 3 or 4, but can't be too greedy, especially with the team that's 12 games under 500. So overall, not too shabby. We'll have tomorrow off before a 3-game series against the Phillies on the road before a